So all are there in your family?
Okay, she said we're live.
Okay. So we are live now.
Okay.
Okay. Namaste and welcome to Sampurna Nari Talks. And this is a platform where we are working with women to awaken the inner Shakti in them by aligning the body, mind, and emotions. And in that scenario, we are bringing women from different fields just to inspire, motivate all of us. And today we have Nisha Dhanuka with us, and she will be talking about women and finance thing. And let's know about her a bit. She is a chartered accountant and company secretary, and she has won many awards like All India rank holder in chartered accountancy, company secretary, gold medalist in Eastern region in chartered accountancy. So All India Business Ranker Award 2018. So many of them. Not only that, she has been featured as top 10 inspiring women entrepreneur as well as among 10 top upcoming CEO. She is very passionate about women's entrepreneur, women leaders, and work closely with them at various forums. And she has been recognized at various forums for her contribution in development of women entrepreneurs. So all the audiences here today, you have the like you if you are here or if you want to comment, you have full thing where you can know about finances. Welcome Nisha to this platform.
Thank you, Poonam. Thanks for that introduction. I think I got more than I deserve. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I welcome all the audience and participants out there. Thanks for taking out time and joining this session.
So today we will be asking you some questions, and so that we come to know how did you reach here and what is your journey to becoming a Sampurnari.
Sure.
So let's start from childhood. What I can see that you are more into finance and this, and you are excel in your whatever thing you are doing. So, in your childhood, what were the things or what are the memories which is related to finance? So, do
Okay.
let us know.
Thanks, Poonam. I think that's a very very uh, what do you say? It's very important question that most of our things that we do as an adult, it's all related to our childhood memories or the things that we have seen in our childhood. So I come from a very middle class family, and I've always seen my parents, always thinking about that where do we save and where do we spend, and always managing finance. It was never oversupply of money, and we are three kids to them, so giving good education. So it's always about managing finances. So one thing, of course, it always occurred to me that I don't want to go through this cycle of, I should always have loads of money. Money is important. And second, I realized that it was not my father taking all the decision relating to finance. My mother was had an equal say, though not very educated, but she always had an equal say. And whatever was earned in the house, she still managed to save something out of it. And she used to do, maybe she did not know that we have to create bouquet of investments, but she used to invest something in gold, something in uh, you know um, they used to have post office savings. So I always saw that it's very important for her to save, and the same thing she imbibed us in us as a children, that whatever you earn, there's consumption is important, but savings is equally important, because that's where you create wealth. So I think I have seen finance from that perspective, from the childhood, that my mother taking the calls, uh, putting her point of view, never shying away, thinking that she is a woman and not allowed to do so. So yeah, I think that's my recall or my good memories about finance in my childhood.
Yeah, we can see that also, the confidence which you have. So nice to know that. Now, what made you passionate about the work you are doing now, and who all were your inspiration?
So, I start, as I said, the very first thing when you become a chartered accountant or you complete an MBA, you want to earn a lot of money. I was no different. First thing, I got a job in a bank, and I wanted to earn well. I wanted to enjoy money, because we always have always gone through that. We have only this much, and we can only do this much. So initially, it was all about doing a good work, and we knew that there is no shortcut to success. So give your best, and of course, money will follow you. But somehow in my journey as a banker, I realized that I want to do something on my own. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a businesswoman, not knowing anything about it. But that thing was always there. And in 2011, I decided that, okay, I want to do something. And there were people around me. That time I was in Bangalore, and a lot of people were talking about startups and doing business on their own. And it inspired me that, okay, let me give it a try. Anyway, I always have degrees to back me up if I want to go back to my job. So I quit and started my first venture, a startup in the field of training and development. So completely opposite to what I was doing as a finance. But then somebody told me it doesn't matter which industry you are in. If you are doing business, you may not be expert in that particular delivery or execution, but you should know how to manage your business. And I think I did pretty well there with my other co-founder. Company is still running. And last year, I started another venture, which is now completely focusing on my core expertise, which is finance. So this company called Quinfin Consulting, we are into finance and accounts outsourcing. And what we do is we are like an extended arm or a finance department for any startup and mid-sized companies. So what motivated me to do what I for starting Quinfin, that I realized that on my journey as a women entrepreneur, I interacted with so many women entrepreneurs on different platforms, and I realized that one thing, uh, one of the top five things I would say they really struggle is with the finances. Uh, First thing, that they are so good in their product or services that they don't want to concentrate on finance, and then they outsource the finance to a junior person, a junior accountant who may not know everything that is expected to run the business. Or it is again the same old story, the male person in the family will take care of the finances. So I realized that, if you're doing business, you better know about your finances. And in Quinfin, I just don't want to do business and get money. No, my intention for starting Quinfin is that we really empower them with numbers. We show them that, what are the key indicators for taking a business to the next level. How numbers are not scary. In fact, numbers are something that can really empower you. So though that was one thing that I really want women to understand and take on finance head on, not get scared that it's no you, if you're so good in your product or services, at least understand what are the key parameters that will help your business to go to next level. And finance is of course a very very key and important indicator.
So we can see your passion in that.
Thank
So
you.
the other question is that, do you think like women should know about the finances, and should they manage their own finances?
Of course, irrespective of the gender, you should know about finances, because ultimately, whatever we are doing, at the end of the day, what money comes and hit my account is very important for me. So I don't know why this thing has been fed in our mind that women should do women should know about finance or not. Why that question at all? Do we ask men that do you know about finance or not? We just assume that they should know. So why that question? It's not a gender specific expertise. It's a life skill. If you are earning, if you want to run your home, as a women, when we run home, don't we manage the finances? Don't we know that how much allocation we do for different expenses? What different is it when we go do our business? So there's no second thought about that should women know about finance. I think it's a wrong question to ask. Everyone should know, irrespective of the gender. uh, the second part of the question, that should they manage their own finances? Yes, of course they should. Why not? But if it doesn't interest them, like if I really don't enjoy doing it, but I understand what other person is doing with my money, I'm good with it. So one is that I don't, if I'm not interested, absolutely fine. But if I'm interested, but only because I'm a woman, I don't take that call. I don't put my opinion on the table. Then that is not right. But having said that, you must still understand that if you are earning, uh, where is your money going? How can you do your tax planning? How can you save? How can you invest? So here I would like to bring about a recent beautiful social experiment that was done by Paytm on International Women's Day. So they called around 30 participants, consisting of different age and both men and women. And then they started asking them questions saying that if the answer is yes, you move a step forward. If our answer is no, you move a step backwards. So they started asking general questions where everybody, men and women of different ages, they started moving forward. Then after I think 4 5 questions, they started asking questions about finance related stuff. Like, do you understand what is mutual fund? Do you know what are the different investment opportunities? Do you know how do you go about managing your taxes? And gradually, what happened? The men kept going a step forward, and the women kept coming backward, one step backward. And after a point, the gap was so evident. And I'm not talking about women who were uneducated, who were the part of the social experiment. They were very, very highly educated women. And I think it was revolutions for all the women there who were part of the experiment that we never thought about it. We never thought that it is so much imbibed in our, uh, in our genes that it's okay to not know about these things. It's okay to be dependent on your uh, male counterparts in the family, which is not right. And I think it's a brilliant way to showcase that those, it may be an experiment of 30 people. Even if you do with 300 people or 3,000, I'm sure the result will not be any different. So yes, I think you should know where, either you know how to manage your finance, or if somebody else is managing, you don't have time and you're hiring an expert, you should at least know where the money is going and how the person is managing your money.
Very well said, and the experiment is also revealing that we should be more, though we know about finances, but not in the terms where we can use it for ourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, so this is a like thing where women should be aware about what finances and how they can go ahead.
Correct.
We all are in business. Now, this question is, so there are various aspects like cash flow, direct and indirect cash, cost, then like this different parameters. So, should we know about this top line? Should we know about these parameters? What is your opinion on that?
Okay, so I would like to, draw a parallel example for this. Um, I feel when we start a business, it is as good as my baby. Now, when I become a mother, okay, I don't know a lot of things about being a mother or what should go into my child as vaccination. But don't I question doctor when they put something in my child? Don't I ask what is good for my child, what is not good for my child? We all do that, right? So if I just draw that parallel example to my
Yeah.
business, if I'm running a business, I may not be expert in finance, right? I may not be a champ, but I still should know what, if I'm running a business, I want it to grow, and I should know what are important parameters that will make it grow. Sales, of course, is one part of it. You said total top line. Top line, of course, it should burn your fingertips as a business person that what are my sales number. But I have seen that lot of people, uh, though they are very good with the sales, but when you ask that what are the costs attached to it, do you understand the difference between indirect, direct costs? They have no clue about it, and it's, I feel really sad about them, because it never occurred to them that they should know. They feel only a chartered accountant should know. No, chartered accountant is just there to look into accounts and file some compliances and statutory stuff. But you should know your numbers. It's your business ultimately. At the end of the day, profit is going to, is what will take you to the next level. So how can you just raise your hand and say I don't know about these aspects? And again, my submission is that I'm not expecting that you have to be champion in that. You should know about these stuff, these terminologies. uh, Cash flow, why is cash flow not important? How will you run your business? Yesterday only there was a classic case. I was speaking to one of my associates, and he said that there's a person who's running a business, and his turnover is around 2.5 crores, and his debtors are around 1.5 crores. I said, and what does it mean? If I just give you this example, it simply means that his 1.5 crore of cash, which is he's supposed to get, is he has not got it. How will you survive in such kind of a business? So when you talk to women, and I'm using the word women again and again because my interaction on various platforms is more with women entrepreneurs. So they say, "Oh, why is cash flow important?" Or "How do I see what is my cash at the end of the day? Why is it important?" So these are certain questions which just blows me off. That as a businesswoman, you must know about all these things. It's all about managing cash. It's all about what comes in, what goes out at the end of the day. So you should know about all these things as a business woman. You can't shy away saying that finance is not my cup of tea. Absolutely agreed. But then you must know about it, and you let other experts like us, to take care of it. But what are we doing? You should know that, right?
Very true. Agreed with you completely. As a woman, like somewhere we only feel shy, or if something comes, we feel that how will we do it, or should we know it or not? If it doesn't, if I don't understand it, what will happen? But as you said, at least we should be aware of the basic things. It's not required to know the whole thing. But yeah, as a woman, if we are talking about equality and all that, yes, this aspect should also be covered.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely. So true. In fact, in one of our discussion, a woman said that she said, "I'm very passionate about money, and I want to experiment by investing in different instruments." And I said, "What's stopping you?" And she's an earning lady. She is not dependent on her husband for. She said, "I'm scared if I make wrong decisions." I said, "Please go and ask your husband. Have you not made any mistakes while investing? Is all his assets giving him huge returns?" And she said, "I don't know." I said, "Exactly. You don't know. It's irrespective of the gender. You will still make mistakes. You may end up putting money in some wrong instruments, but that's the way you learn. You learn by doing it. You don't just learn by reading, so, or just listening to people. So just do it and make mistakes, absolutely fine, but learn from those mistakes." And I said, "Please go home today and ask your husband that what are the assets that you've invested in, what are the returns, and you will know that you may have made better decisions than him, if you would not have shied away from putting your inputs or opinion."
very true. Sometimes I think, as you said, like in childhood days, your parents were taking a decision which were compliant for both of them. So as a couple, as if we also start doing that thing, I think that will help to build good generation, and people will also be aware of that thing. As I think you learn from that, your childhood
Absolutely.
experiences, and today you are
Absolutely.
working on that.
Absolutely.
Now, my
Absolutely.
last question is, uh, yeah, anything you want to add on?
No, I want to add that, we mothers, especially, uh, we interact with our kids, or as parents, when we interact with our kids, we should not bring that partition in the mind of our kids at all. that you as a guy are supposed to do this, you as a girl, money management is as good as learning cycling or as good as learning cooking. Those are life skills irrespective of the gender. So I think if all of us as parents can bring that awareness and be more mindful when we are talking to our girl child, uh, I automatically, the difference that we saw in the recent social experiment by Paytm, I'm sure the what do you say, the difference will gradually come down.
So true. Now, you as a Sampurna Nari, what is that one message which you want to give to all the Sampurnaris there listening to you?
Okay. Poonam, I lost you.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're better now. Yes.
Okay.
Could you please repeat your question? I didn't get it.
Yeah, sorry. You as a Sampurna Nari, what is that one message which you want to give to all Sampurna Naris listening to you or want to learn from you?
Okay, thank you. So I think the very concept of saying someone as Sampurnari is something I don't agree with. The moment I say I'm Sampurnari or I'm a Wonder Woman, I put myself under so much of pressure, so much of expectations from myself to be a perfect mother, a perfect wife, a perfect daughter-in-law, a perfect daughter, a perfect manager. What are we? Are just human like any other men around. Why do we ask there's a Sampurn men around? No. So I think we women should just eliminate that thought that we don't want to be Sampurn. I don't want to be Sampurn. I'm okay with being a good mother someday and a bad mother someday. I'm okay to be a not so good wife. I'm okay to be an average performer someday. Why put myself under pressure so much? I'm giving my best shot, whatever I can. But if I start putting myself on parameters of being the perfect mother and the Sampurn Nari, I will fail every day. And who sets this parameter for Sampurn Nari? I have never told that I want to be the best cook in the world, but I have heard people saying that as a daughter-in-law, you should know how to cook well. As a mother, you should know how to make delicacies for your child. Why? I don't want, I don't like cooking. So I think we as women should break this glass or this shackle of saying, I want to be Sampurn Nari. I don't want to be Sampurn Nari. I'm totally fine with that. I set my own parameters, my own definition of success, own definition of being a mother, a wife, a manager, a businesswoman. And if I'm good with those parameters, I consider myself as so-called Sampurn Nari. I don't want to live with the expectation of what people have from me. I think the moment we start matching ourselves with others' expectation, that's where the problem arises, and that's where the depression and the we are always in guilt of doing something when we are doing it for ourselves. I don't want to live with that guilt. So my message is that please let go of that mindset that you can be perfect of everything. You're human, it's fine. You have imperfection and love your imperfections. You may fail, you may succeed. That's your prerogative. Nobody else defines success parameters for you.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Nisha. It was a great answer from your side. It is very, very true that you cannot be or you shouldn't think that you should be a perfect person in every area. You are perfect the way you are. You should just be
Correct.
confident of what you're doing. Yeah. And you just said very right.
Thank you. Thanks, Priya. I'm glad you could relate it to what I said. So I think, yeah, that's it from my side. I have no other message. I feel all the women are empowered. You don't have to empower them. It's just that they need to realize that they can do any damn thing in the world. Nothing stop. It's just the mindset that they need to change. Otherwise, you don't have
Very
to
true.
empower women. We are born empowered.
Very
True. Thank you so much. And yes, this is even we feel that we all are complete. Perfection
Correct.
doesn't make us complete. So we
Correct.
all are Sampurn in our way. Just the thing is, we have to accept that thing.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bang on. I love the way I am, and I'm good with it.
We love the way you speak and you convince, like you connect with all the women there. I can see that the connection is there and you how much you want to help. So thank you so much. So here we will be opening questions for audiences if they want to ask any
Sure,
questions so that
sure,
their queries are also solved.
sure.
So all the participants who have joined us, you're free to type or even unmute yourself.
I have one question for you. At any point of time, did you have this hesitance or fear of taking the plunge of going to the next level, that will I be successful or how will it go? So did you have these fears, and if you had, how did you conquer it?
Oh, you're asking about how, if I had, I today also I get nightmares that if I'm not successful, if it doesn't work out, what do I do? So that is something. Initially, of course, it's used to give me sleepless nights because you're leaving your job and getting on your own is not at all an easy. And entrepreneurship is always a lonely journey. So, and today also, after being into this being of my own for almost 10 years now, I still get those fears. What if this my new venture doesn't work? Or what if, things don't go right the way I have planned? So, but I have realized this fear should not disempower you. This fear should make you all the more empowered to, or all the more motivated, that you don't leave any stone unturned that can create the failures for you in your own parameters. So, today, if I'm not able to sleep, is not because I think I'll fail. I can't sleep because I feel I should not leave anything which I could have done to make my venture successful. So that is something, I live with it and I've accepted it. That's part and parcel of being in business. COVID happened, and I'm sure a lot of us had sleepless nights, that what will happen to our business. But then I realized that we're living in a very VUCA world. We can't escape these things. So fear is good as long as it doesn't disempower you or it doesn't demotivate, depress you. You have to bounce back. And I believe in one thing wholeheartedly: perseverance, that you don't give up. If you believe in something, just follow. Efforts are never wasted. So I, until I believe that it will fail, I will not stop working for it. And I feel efforts are always paid back in whatever way. It's always paid back. So that keeps me going, that keep doing the good work, and uh, life will be good. And ups and downs, challenges are all part and parcel of life. Otherwise, what's the point of saying that, what stories I shared, because I had certain instances to share with you all. Otherwise, if I have a very good life, I can't share anything with you.
So who is that one person in your life who keeps motivating you throughout this journey of yours?
I think, if I have to think of one person, I think my father. you know I have taken extreme decisions in my life, and everybody questioned it. But whenever I have taken extreme decisions in my life, and he just asked me one thing: are you sure about it? Do you believe in it? And if it's a yes, go for it. We'll see right or wrong. So I think, if ever I'm in a problem, I just look up to him, and he this his 2 3 questions just motivates me so much to give my best. So I think one person who's really inspires, even today, starting this second venture, he said, are you sure you want to come out of your existing and want to try hand on new one? I said, yeah, I'm so ready for it. And I really want to do something with a difference, not only for money. He said, just go for it. Success and failure is byproduct. You just give your efforts. So hands down, it's my father.
Thank you for your reply. Thanks.
Thanks, Priya.
Hmm. Thank you so much. I also had one question. This is regarding you are into finances, and somewhere we have that fear that if we are into finances, we will not be able to balance the work and family, or if we will not be very social to give things. But I know that once in a week you have one routine. What is that routine and what you do and how you balance that?
Okay. So again, uh, Poonam, there is nothing called balance. The moment we try to balance, we are stagnant. See, who can balance? Who doesn't move? Right? If you move, there have to be imbalances and totally fine. And you might topple, you might not topple. So again, there's nothing called balance, right? And it's just that some days I need to give some more time to finance. On some day I need to give more time to my sales. On some day I need to give some more time to my family business. So it's all about the situation that you are in. So you can't just give like 20% to finance, 20% to sales, 20%. You can't do that. As a human, it's not possible. So it's but yeah, discipline is something very, very important. As you rightly said, that there are certain things which you need to do on a regular basis, which gradually becomes your habit. So for me, if I invest in share market, I will at least go and see the stocks that I've invested in, how are they performing? Or if I'm running a business, I would like to know what is, will I be able to meet my expenses for the month with the inflows that I'm expected? And if what, so I have those checkpoints I always will have on my fingertips. So, and this I will do. My cash flow thing is something, if it's really critical, I will do it daily. If it's not so critical, I will do it weekly. So these are certain things, and of course, keeping yourself abreast about the changes that's happening in the finance world. See, the beauty of today's world is that you just need to just type in that I would like to know what are the recent changes in taxes, and forget about written text. You will have videos, people talking about it. People are ready to share their knowledge. So the effort is only of the finger and the mindset that I would like to know about it. And I, again, my humble request is, finance is as easy as marketing or sales or raising a child, or as complicated as marketing as raising a child. So it's all in the mind. It's so simple. If I ask you, give me 1,000 rupees, will you give me? You will not give me. You will ask me 100 questions. We are born with that thing that we can manage our money, we can manage finances. So the social stigma that is put in our mind, please just come out of it. And of course, decide your frequency. What would you empower you as a business woman or as a homemaker to take care of your finances? I hope I answered your question, Poonam, or I just
Yeah,
confused you more.
no, no. The one thing I wanted to ask, apart from this, was that once in a week, like you have a schedule where you go and you help out people. You have
Correct.
group of people.
Correct.
So how do you do that? Because you know, uh, somewhere we have that thing that if we go into finance or if we are more money minded, then this thing will never happen. So
Correct.
what
Right.
you do, you first tell me that, because our
Okay.
audience also should know that you are the good work you are doing, and
Okay. So thanks, Poonam. See, I again, I've always realized that what really gives me a lot of satisfaction is when I give, not when I take. And I started experiencing it from last 4 5 years very, very extensively. So a lot of people say that after 50 or after 60, when once I'm done with my job, I'm going to do social work, or I'm going to join an NGO. uh, I realized that why that thing of saying that I will after 50 or 60, why not along with, it should be part of your life. You are getting so much from the society, you are getting so much from the environment around us. Why not give it back? The ecosystem works on give and take. So, and somehow the universe also works like that. If you give one, you get 10. It just get magnified and magnified. I started by doing small blood donation. So every 4 months, I would like to go and donate blood. A simple thing. Then I happened to meet like-minded people where we started doing food drive, where we collect food from home and go and give it in the slum. Then I got an opportunity that you can scribe for blind people. There are a lot of blind students out there who miss their exams because there are not enough people to write exams for them. So I started scribing for them. Of course, every time is not possible, but whenever it's possible, because exams are mostly during the week. So whenever possible, I'll go and write the exam for them. I realized that out of 7 days, at least one day should be for these activities. Uh, that's the way my child will also learn of giving it back to the society in whatever way. And I have realized that people think that uh, charity or social service is all about giving money. No, there are enough people out there to give money. It's the people who can take that effort of taking it to the right people is more important. I have never, whenever I have tried to raise money, you won't believe, just one or two text messages in some groups, and within 5 minutes I've closed the request. So it's I realize it's not the money, it's just that the people don't have the time to go and do it. So I said, okay, money is one thing. I will take out one day. That is my contribution in terms of my efforts. I go scribe for them, I do blood donation, I go for recently on Women's Day we took out some few women who were visually impaired, took them to for a shopping experience. So yeah, these are certain things which are not very regular, and but we like to create those experiences for these people. For them, it's like a life-changing experience, I would say.
Thank you so much. Because what we feel or what we understand is when we are into something, this thing will not happen.
Right,
Sometimes this is the scenario where women are not coming out of that fear or not doing thinking about finances.
correct.
But you are an example where we can see that it is possible to do both the things. It's not like that if you are
Absolutely.
into finances, you will not do other things.
Correct.
So
True.
thank you for this enlightening session where I think you busted many myths around finances and how we can make we can live a finance free life. Like finance easily we can put it and we can utilize it, and each and every woman should be aware of that
True.
thing.
True. True.
So thank you so much, Nisha, for accepting our invitation, coming here and helping us, all the women out there. We
Thank you
are
so
really
much, Poonam.
grateful
Thank you
to you.
so much. Thank you so much for having me over a show. I'm so happy. Even if, as I always say, even if it can change one person's life, one woman's life, or the way they think, I'm good. I'm happy. I don't want to create changes in 1 lakh or millions. One is change. I'm good. I'm happy.
Yes, thank you for joining in, Nisha.
Thanks,
Absolutely, it's
Priya.
about one person at a time and then eventually making it bigger.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks,
Thank
Priya.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Most welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
So,
Poonam.
so we'll be just closing our session now.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Bye. Thank you so much.